We talk a big game about going out and enjoying the outdoors in the winter, the spring, summer, fall. May as well go out and show a little bit of it too. So it was the last weekend of April and we decided to go down to Denali to just camp overnight. It was kind of a last minute thing. We were able to get the camper out, get it started, get it running. And it was kind of a chore because we didn't plug it in, we didn't pull the battery out, the tires were a little bit low, so we had to do all those kind of last minute things to get it going before we were able to leave. We ended up leaving a little bit late on Saturday and got down to Denali a little bit later on Saturday night than we wanted to. We ended up meeting a nice couple and their kids across the way from us, got camp all set up, had some dinner, got to bed. Weather was absolutely gorgeous all weekend. It was a little bit cool by the time we got to Riley Creek Campground on Saturday, just because the sun had set behind Denali and the rest of the mountains in the park. So we were bathed in shadow and it gets a little bit cooler there, but it was still a great time. Got to bed. And luckily the heater in the camper was working and everyone was able to get some sleep. We got up the next morning and sun was still shining everywhere. It was nice and warm. It was probably in the mid to high 30s or 40s that first morning. We got up, we said goodbye to our new friends and got camp broke down and were able to drive about 13 miles into the park to do our hike for the day that we wanted to do. And we were able to hike the Mountain Vista loop there. It's not a hard hike. It's pretty flat for the most part. So if you've got bad knees or a bad back, that's a great hike to go on. Another one is the Savage River Trail. That one doesn't have a lot of change of elevation. It's about a mile out, mile back. The Mountain Vista Trail is about a mile and a half. Maybe. It's not too bad. We couldn't get to Savage River that day because the road hadn't been plowed out, but we were able to get to Mountain Vista. We'll definitely go back and get some great video of hiking set more than likely this summer, so stay tuned for that. Thinking about moving to Fairbanks? Well, click on the link below for my free relocation guide where I talk about top schools, top neighborhoods, and so much more. This hike that we did was just sun was shining. The wind was blowing a little bit, but even though the wind was blowing, it wasn't super cold. It wasn't bad weather. We were prepared. We knew it was going to be windy. If you've ever been to Denali National Park, you kind of know going in it's going to be windy. So knowing that, you kind of have to dress for the weather, even if it's a 70 or 80 degree wet day. Bring a jacket because you're more than likely going to experience some wind when you get there. That day was no different either. We had great cold weather gear, but even with that, we still had an extra layer on top because we knew it was going to be windy. As we were walking around, the snow had kind of gotten to that punky, rotten stage. You've never heard this before. This could be a new phrase or a new word for you to describe snow or ice. If somebody ever tells you, hey, stay off that ice, it's starting to rot, that is a warning essentially that the ice has started to melt and that you shouldn't walk on it. But what's happening essentially is that when you're looking at the ice or the snow, majority of it is starting to lose its form and it's melting out from the crystalline structure that is the ice. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but this is essentially what's happening. And the rest of the structure of the ice is still there. So when you step on top of it, your foot goes through it a lot easier because it's not got the whole force of the frozen ice or snow supporting it. So that's why you're able to step through it a lot easier. It has rotten. It is punky, if that makes sense. So word of the day. And this snow is, as you can see, it's slow going in the snow in this hike here, just because of the time of the year. It was gorgeous. It was great weather. It was nice and warm, but the trade-off is you kind of have to walk slowly on that kind of snow. One of the things that would have been beneficial would be to bring some snowshoes. As you can see in some of this video, we've got some tracks that we were able to see and get some footage of, and some of those tracks are of snowshoes, and it looks like there might be some larger dog tracks in those snowshoe tracks as well. But a word to the wise, as you're going through any national park, and Denali National Park is no different, if you're going to have your dogs or any other pets that you should bring into Denali National Park or any other national park, make sure you keep them on a leash. You definitely don't want your pets out playing with the local fauna because they're not going to come back. So make sure you keep them close to you. Just to give you an idea how deep the snow is here, at least at this point, and some of it would have melted and would have been packed down because of it melting. So as we're walking around, we found some benches that were in a nice spot. So we were laying down on the benches because they were at ground level and just looking up at the clouds and just kind of guessing and using our imagination to figure out what they were. Right now, my son is fascinated with the ocean and everything in the ocean. So he was guessing, or not guessing, but using his imagination. Oh, that one looks like a squid. That one's a giant squid. That one's a sperm whale. everything is squids and sperm whales right now. So if your kids are like fixated on animals or something, drop them in the comments below. That's what is going on in my house right now. All of the Legos are sharks and whales. It's awesome. It's so cool. But after a while, we were able to get back up and start hiking down towards the Savage River. Because majority of the snow hasn't melted yet, we were able to get pretty close up into the river. It was just a trickling stream. But even though I hate messing around with water, period. I don't like having anytime my kids are around any kind of body of water. It just makes me nervous. But it's so funny looking back at this video, because as they're walking around in this hiking video, it's my wife and the kids, they're hiking around, they're having a great time. But in the back of my mind, I keep thinking, okay, you guys are far enough away, you need to come back. And I can even hear myself in this video saying that. And I want to tell myself, hey, just relax. Nothing's going to happen. This is Denali National Park. It's going to be just fine. There's so many people around. And even though I know in retrospect what ended up happening, you got to keep your head on a swivel at all times, especially in a place like that. So now you're on the path and you have some choices. So you can either go this way to the Denali sled dog kennels, or you can go that way down a really safe path, or you can go that way down what could be a pretty potentially scary encounter. Choice is yours. Now keep in mind, if you do go down the scary path, there will be a trail to get you back down to a safe path, or even a much safer path from there too. So we got you covered. We hope you got some value out of this. Our goal is to just show you that there's a lot to Alaska. You can get out there and take a look at it. You don't have to be just relegated to the city of Fairbanks all the time. There's a lot of stuff to do here.